I get to introduce you to Michelle Ponto. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes, you
okay,
are.
Ponto. That means like I was making it with my Italian accent, okay? So she has this great company, only because I love the name. I'm sure the content of the company is amazing. It's Wear Blue Gecko. She is the founder, CEO. And Michelle Ponto is an Emmy-nominated journalist and strategic communications advisor with more than 20 years of experience helping organizations and leaders shape narratives and build credibility. I bet you do so much more. But first of all, tell us about the word blue gecko. You know I'm going to ask you about that.
Yeah, everyone's always curious about the name. For me, I find geckos are lucky,
Right.
and blue geckos are extremely rare. So when I opened up my consultancy, I wanted to be something that wasn't an everyday kind of place. I wanted to be something special, something rare, something that when you join us, you're going to get something a little bit different. And that's what I do. When I work with my clients, you're not going to get everyday communications. You're not going to get everyday workshop facilitation. You're going to get something customized, something unique, something that's just special for you.
Well, that's actually sounds amazing, because I'm sure every one of your clients are special, just as a blue gecko. And actually, it's very, I'm going to say, it's very figurative. It's like very imaginative. You can see the gecko on the wall. Okay, I almost like ready to pounce or ready to move. So, and if you haven't had the pleasure yet of meeting Michelle, she is kind of a blue gecko in the fact that she's very rare. She's very empathetic. She will listen to people probably more than I do. So bless her soul. And she is where you're from, Saskatchewan. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And so, how long have you been in the region, and where have you been else in the world? Where have you been hiding, my blue gecko?
Oh,
Where?
I've been everywhere. And I'm wishing I were to wear blue today, but oh well.
Next one, we'll do
Next
another
one, I'll make sure I'm wearing blue.
Right.
Yeah, but I haven't lived in Canada for about 25 years. I left and I worked in the U.S. as a journalist and a digital news director for about 12 years. Then I moved to the region. I moved to Saudi.
Right.
Left, went to Switzerland, came back to Saudi, moved over to Belgium, came back to Saudi, and now in Dubai. So it's been like a lot of packing and unpacking.
Oh yeah, of everything, I imagine, not just even luggage. Right?
Yes, of everything.
Right. So you did mention about being a journalist. So we had a talk before this. Obviously, even not even realizing the mics were on, but we had a talk before this, and it was really interesting because you said that you wrote a few books, a couple of books, right? But what is the bet at the moment? Why are we not writing at the moment? We, the royal we, why are you not writing at the moment? Okay.
It's because I write so much during the day. When I was working in news, I was still writing, but for some reason I still had enough energy on the weekends to just keep thinking and pumping out more creative stuff.
All right.
But now running my own company, my weekends are filled with creating other things, because when you're working during the week, you're working with your clients, you're writing with them, you're working on their content. But then on the weekends, you got your own creativity going on, your own social media, your own, what am I going to do next kind of thing.
Well, that actually makes total sense because, being a very professional, creative person, let's put it that way, I'm sure a lot of your mind, even when you think it's off, it's not quite off, because you might see something going, oh, that would be great for my client A. This is great for my client B. So I can see how that can consume a lot of your time, but you might want to put that back out there. So this shows a really human side to you. Okay. So my question, is there a human side of AI? And why is it so important? Because I know this is one of your specialties.
Yes, well, AI is everywhere now, whether people want it or not. It doesn't matter whether they're in communications, whether they're in teaching, whether they're in HR. AI is becoming part of their job. And what people are worried about is everything going to be just AI? But the thing is, you still need the human side. And it's so important, because what AI does, it looks at all the information out there when you put a question in, and it consolidates the best answer. It's like you're super wonderful researcher. But as a human, you have personal stories to add to that. You have judgment. You have empathy. So you can look at that answer and you can say, that doesn't seem quite right, and you can make it your own. And that comes from everything. If you're a thought leader and you're posting on LinkedIn, people know if you just plopped out a whole bunch of AI stuff. People make fun of that already. But if you add your human side to it, you say, okay, this is a good kind of idea that AI came up with, but I can add a little bit of my personality to this. I can add a personal experience to it. If you are a teacher, it can pump out your lesson plan for you, but it can't see what's happening within the classroom. It can't see your students. It can't see the faces of a student who's struggling, or a student who's bored, or a student just having a bad day. But as a teacher, you will see that, and you can go back and work with AI and say, I have a student who's having some problem. What are some suggestions? And decide your own judgment whether that is a good suggestion or not to apply with that student. So you really need that human side to make AI actually very useful and take it beyond just content. Really make it something that helps you with your critical thinking.
I love that. But I was even just the useful side. It could be that, again, people that are very busy. So they might think, oh, I need, for a teacher, I need some great ideas for Mark, who's my student, and I know he loves blue geckos. Let's throw those blue geckos in there, right? And what kind of creative project can I work on that? Because you might not have the physical time. So having this as something that's going to, enhance already what your desire for that person. I think that's really exciting. We were also talking about how we noticed that some of the responses seem more human. In some cases, you were mentioning that they're answering you with your name, which is kind of creepy, you said, which in a way, or so you said you've turned that off or something like that?
Yes, for some of the AIs now, ChatGPT, the casual one is the default.
Right.
I think with Claude too, it will default as casual because a lot of people are still using it as, I call it surface level. They're asking, what should I make for dinner today?
Yeah,
my hair is bad
today. Like a Google search engine.
I'm having a problem with so-and-so. How can I fix this relationship? So they're still using it very as personal, their self-help guide basically.
Right.
But when you're using it for business, you want to go a little bit deeper. And for me, I want to keep my human side. I don't want AI to call me by my name. For me, I don't like it. Other people will love it. They really feel a relationship with it.
Okay.
Excuse me. But
okay.
For me, I like to keep it separate. And also because with my work, I don't use AI just for myself. Every one of my clients have a separate project within it. Each of them have their own voice. They have their own facts. And I don't want AI to mix them all together because they're all unique. So you do have that control option, but the default is it's going to be personal.
That's good. I remembered another woman I was speaking with that she actually, I don't know, I gave her the name, like instead of her proper name, she gave it, call me Habibi. So then she knows that she's talking to her. So I guess that's a way of toning it down a bit.
Yes.
So we're talking about communication here. So how has AI changed the role of communications? Okay, or communicators, I should say, educators, business leaders, and other roles just beyond content creation. I mean, I've seen people use it for content creation, which is nice, but again, like you said, you're reading on LinkedIn, it's the same old, okay? How's it changed? What are your feelings?
It has definitely changed a lot. For content creation, for sure. And actually, I have no problem with people who are using it for content creation because it helps people, especially if English is a second language, or people who aren't natural writers.
Right.
But the thing we need to remember is, again, as I mentioned, AI just consolidates everything that's out there. So if people are accepting mediocre stuff or putting nothing new into the AI, it's going to keep giving you generic and even more generic stuff.
That's true.
So I think as experts, whether you're a communicator, an educator, somebody who's working in HR, you have this expertise. So what you should be feeding the AI, not your trade company secrets, of course, but give it quality stuff so that it learns that this is bad writing and this is good writing. So that it helps improve the AI to not be so generic and not be so boring, because it does get a little boring. It's it has a certain rhythm to it that people don't like. So that's one of the things that I think is important, that as experts, we have a responsibility to make sure the AI doesn't, garbage in, garbage out, that we put quality in so that it doesn't regurgitate the garbage that is in there.
Yeah, that makes it. What would you recommend? Would someone have to? Let's say that often I'll be guilty as charged. You know how you open up some electronic device, whatever it is, and you might not read the full instructions, and you just press play, right? And so you get a lot of people that maybe don't put the back end in of their what their personal settings are going to be. Is there a way to clean up some of that up?
Yeah, it's all in there. And because it's always learning, and it's going to learn from your own stuff too. So if it learns that you like it casual, that you accept the first thing, that you never want to go deeper, you never question or challenge it, it will just give you that. But if you're somebody who regularly challenges and says, never use these words with me, never do this, it starts to remember that you're different, you're unique. And you have to think of it as, and you're right, some people are going to do more and some people are going to go a little bit less. Think about when Microsoft came out with Microsoft Office.
Oh, yeah.
There are people today that can only do the basics in PowerPoint and in Excel. And then there are those people who took some classes and they do amazing things with Excel because they went deeper. They learned it and they didn't just go surface level, they went fluent level. And the same thing is going to happen with AI. So those who really are going to embrace it are going to have AI fluency, which means they are going to use it not just for how can I have a headache today, here's what I'm going to do, or please make this email better. They're going to use it for critical thinking. They're going to challenge it. They're going to use it for strategy. They're going to use it to really make a difference in their work and what is happening within their industry.
Wow, that makes, a good deep dive is always, I'd be curious. That's what I always tell people, be curious. Yes. Go a little bit deeper. What are you going to do? At maximum, you're going to have the longest thread in the world. But, I mean, at least you'll find out you can contradict what it's saying. Like, you can always go, are you sure? Are you sure what's going on? So, before else we were talking about that, you're saying that AI can generate language, okay? But I love. I think we should get this on T-shirts, okay? But humans create meaning, okay? So, even what we just talked on about a minute ago, we're talking about how they create meaning maybe by going deep dive. Yeah. But what else do you mean by that?
Also with the judgment. If you're using it not just to create content, but you're using it for strategy, if you're using it for decision making, if you're using it for, if you're a teacher, for helping improve things within your classroom with your students, your ability as a teacher, you take what it gave you, those ideas, and you give it meaning. You are also accountable and responsible for it, because especially if you're using it not just for your personal stuff, but you're going to be using it for the public or for people you're working with, whether it's in HR or your employees, what you're giving them and what you're planning to implement, whatever AI told you to do, you are accountable and responsible for saying, I think that's a good idea, I'm going to use it. So we have to give it meaning. We can go back and say, that is not going to work for my particular situation. I need to go deeper. I need to change it. Or I can say, that is a brilliant idea that it gave me. I think it could do this. I might need to modify it a little bit for my situation or for what's happening. So we take it and we give it a personal meaning.
Yeah, it sounds like, I always say it's a great sounding board.
Yes.
It's a great sounding board. You can sit there and you maybe already have some ideas, and then it brings something else out that you would have been, oh, that's right. Oh, no, that's stupid. It could be either way, but it's a great sounding board. So there's another aspect of the human part of AI.
Yes.
I really like that. So, okay, you're saying, so we got back to the teachers sometimes using this. What about for your own personal interests? So, some people may know that you are an avid runner, okay? And we were actually talking about what your favorite shoes were, but let's say, and you were saying that because you've been doing running for so long, you haven't really used AI for running, but you might use it for something in your life?
I use it for different things. So when I moved to Dubai 2 years ago, my hair was not normal because we don't have
welcome the normal. Yeah, we don't.
This humidity.
Yes, we're no longer in Kansas, as they would say. Yes. Right? Exactly, right.
So I really did. There was a lot of questions to AI. My hair feels crunchy. What is wrong? what kind of filter should I buy? I specifically live in this city. Is there one that I can buy here that works specifically for this? Like I was really, AI was doing a lot of research for me.
Well, that's like having the best, chat group of women and giving you the right advice. Yeah, but well, see, these are lovely things too, because it is a human side. Like all of a sudden, we've taken this down a notch from not trying to figure out the algorithm for our back end of our website. We're going, what are we going to use it? We're going to use it for some human things. Yeah. It might be as simple as, I've got 7 items in my fridge. What can I make for dinner when you're brain dead, or something like that? But we shouldn't. We can also use this as really good tools. But there is a human side. There's like when you're talking business with someone, but we can have a good laugh about what hair product we're going to use. So we're also looking about, we're saying there are going to be skills that people are going to need. I mean, we can even look over a 5-year period as AI becomes an everyday part of business, which I think it already is. But what skills do you think that we should maybe give to our office personnel ourselves?
Yeah, the thing is, AI is changing the roles, and this is something that people are rolling it out. They're creating all these agents, and what agentic AI does is it does things automatically. So, for example, in communications, I can put in my clients, and I can have an agent run and and find the media mentions for them every day or every week. So I don't have to do that manually. Or I could have them look for speaking engagements within certain areas and certain topics that would match the level of my client. So I can have that do automatically. Right. So and companies are going to do this, and they're rolling out AI everywhere, and people are worried, is it going to take my job? The thing is, it's not, because there will be different skills that will be needed. Yes, let AI take over those kind of things, because those are very time consuming, but that gives you, but there's also responsibilities that fall on you, because again, the judgment, people need to learn the judgment. You cannot take AI at face value.
No.
You cannot take the responsibility. Anything that it pops out, whether it's data, whether it's an idea, whether it's strategy, as the person who is going to be using it, they need to learn who's going to be accountable if this goes wrong? Who's going to be accountable if that data that it gave me is not quite right? So those kind of skills need to be also learned. Critical thinking, challenging the AI,
I love that.
Taking it deeper. Yes, it's going to give me all this stuff. It's every day it can give me 20, 30 speaker things for my people, but I will look through it and go, that's not right for him. This audience is not going to be the right one. This isn't going to work here. And I will go back and say, okay, I want you to do this again, but I want you to focus more on these kind of things, because what you gave me is not right for this person. And it will go for everything, whether you're in engineering and you're using it to monitor what's happening in an oil field, or whether you're using it for monitoring employee behavior. You can, wherever it is, that judgment is something that people need to learn. And the thinking skills. And this is something that when I was speaking with teachers about how it's changing them, they said, yes, we know students are using it, but we're trying to come up with ways to show them, to teach them critical thinking. Because there's a difference between a student who just says, please write this essay on this topic for me and make it sound like a 12-year-old wrote it, and it will pop up something brilliant, to a student who could have done almost the same thing, but you ask the student without the AI in the room, explain to me what exactly this means, and a student can do it and another one can't, because one has learned critical thinking and one hasn't. So it's the same with AI. It's going to pop out a strategy, but then if you're in a board meeting or if you're talking with your manager, they might ask you a question. And if you don't understand how the strategy works or why the strategy is a good strategy, that's a problem. Yeah. So you still need to develop these other skills to make it even better. So you complement each other.
The critical thinking is so important. That's another T-shirt right there. Critical thinking, because you can, when you're talking to someone, you can go off, not off topic, but let's say we've got some questions here that we're using for the podcast, right? But going off topic, you can tell when the person actually knows what their stuff is, as I could say. I really like the idea that it's being used by students, because I still remember the days when you would go to the library and you would have to, the Dewey Decimal System, God, bless it, and you're looking for the book and you're looking for
the microfiche.
Oh my gosh, heavens! Like a lot of great stuff. But the physical taking of these books in your hands and finding page 52, reading paragraph, whatever. It's, again, we have I've always said the internet, even before AI, was like having the world's best encyclopedia. So now we have the possibility, if we apply the critical thinking, hopefully, then we'll be able to use this new mega encyclopedia to create better things. So
yes, absolutely, and it helps. For me, I loved essays, but I'm a writer.
Yes.
So yeah, I can do a 50-page essay in 24 hours.
Oh, you're scary. Yes,
because I was a journalist. I'm also a journalist. So I have a really good brain. I can find the stuff. I can write it out.
Right.
But it's not fair for those who that's not their skill set. Right. But at least with AI, if they can still get the research and they have some ideas, it can help them with that. So I think it will help students in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I used to love writing too. Not 50 pages, but yes. But what I'm looking forward to is, we're just going to go a little bit off topic here, is how do you see parents and teachers working together? Do you must have some requests from schools at the moment. I'm sure there are lots of requests coming for your help, basically.
It's a mix. The parents do need to be involved. Right. Because they are the ones who are granting access to what's happening to the computers, to the internet, to the AIs that the students are using. Right. And they do need to work with the teachers, because every teacher is still learning. It's AI is so new. We're still learning in any industry. So definitely within the classroom, they are learning. And they're trying different things. They're trying to put restrictions on certain topics where you're not allowed to use AI, certain ones that you're allowed to.
Yes.
So it works in different ways. But I think the parents also need to work with the teacher to understand why the teacher has given restrictions for certain things, or what the criteria is, because it's changing. To evaluate critical thinking versus evaluate the quality of an essay, it's different. Because before you evaluated the quality of the essay, did they do sources? Does it make sense? Does it follow the whatever? Does it have proof? But now they don't need to do that. Now the critical thinking is more important. So I think the parents also need to understand how how education is changing today, and what would best benefit their child.
Oh, well, I like the way this is going, because we're also looking how education will make these our future business leaders, right?
Yes.
So if business leaders could do one thing to prepare their organization, like I guess like schools are trying to do things for the AI era, what would they focus on first? If there's a one thing to focus on, maybe there's a few things to focus on.
There's a few, but the first thing is to think about what makes sense for AI to do and what makes sense for humans to do. Because right now, a lot of them are just incorporating all this AI everywhere without thinking of the people side. So they're putting it all in. People are trying to learn things as fast as they can, data entry, whatever they need to do. But they forgot that people's skills also need to change. And there are certain things, even if AI can do it, it might not make sense for your organization to incorporate that, because the responsibility, the accountability is so important that it needs to still be managed by people. So I think the first thing is to see, where does it make sense to have AI, and where does it make sense to still keep it the people side. And when you do incorporate the AI, to make sure that job description reflects its new role, that you're going to be working with this program, but your role is still going to be this, and you will be responsible for this. Because a lot of people are afraid, because they haven't been told that it's not taking their job away. It's doing this, but you still need to be able to do this.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've always often seen people using AI to just putting it in. It's like you've given someone a hammer and they're just putting holes in the wall everywhere because they think they're fixing something. I think they should find out what needs to be fixed, if so. Like you're saying, maybe the research part of it, like looking for new clients or things like that. Therefore, the person who is looking for new clients manually would then hopefully spend more time with the client on the phone or with them in person. So it's a great time saver. Yeah. It's a great time saver.
And expertise. It gives it more time for expertise.
Right.
Because if AI is doing, let's say it's doing the old job of data entry or whatever,
right,
it gives you more time to be an expert. Because if you're just using it for make this better, make this email better, create 50 social media posts,
yeah,
those are going to be generic. They're not going to. They're not going to. They're not going to show any of that human side. They're not going to show quality.
right.
And if you don't take the time to learn the quality, what is good, what is bad, even in writing, you're never going to improve. You're always going to stay this entry level, mediocre talent. So so the human side, or the part that the human needs to do, is to start to learn what is quality, what is working. It pumped out these 50 LinkedIn posts. Mm-hmm. Did they work? Do they all look the same? What are people saying about them? Are they saying they sound like AI? And going back and making it quality.
Oh, I love it. So again, we have here humans create meaning. Yeah. And then that means our businesses can help these humans that we have, thank goodness, to be more creative, to be more meaningful in their interactions with other people. I like your take on this. I'm very happy that, and I'm sure that a lot of the companies and the schools and the people you work with really appreciate the human side of this. If you had maybe some top tips, or let's use a lucky number 3 takeaways that you'd like to give us for us to look for to make the human side of AI more human. What would you have your top tips?
My top tips would be, first of all, use it as an assistant, not as something that's going to take over everything. The second one would be, remember that you are responsible for what it outputs.
Yes. Whether
it's good or bad, you are responsible for what it outputs. If people make fun of it, you should have caught that. So make sure that you have that. The third is to not be afraid. Be curious, play with it. If it doesn't give you what you want, don't be afraid to challenge it and say, do it again. Start all over. Prompting is becoming so much easier. You don't have to put in these long prompts. It gets the gist of what we want faster. Right. The agents are going to be easier to program in the future as well. But if you don't play with it, you will never get better.
Yeah. Well, I think those are really wise words, and because it's the human side of us again, I'd like to wish you a very happy Canada Day, and I can't wait to have you back. So I'm expecting you to wear something blue gecko color, okay?
Yes,
I will too. We'll make it in a note. And again, if anyone wants to reach out to us here at the Canadian Business Council here in Dubai, we can all really be happy to connect you with Michelle, and looking forward to having you on many more sessions. So
yes, thank you so much.
Happy Canada Day.
Happy Canada Day.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.